Hello, friends. How are you today? Thanks for joining us today. We have Captain James Foong with us. Uh, James, you want to just say hello to everyone
Hello,
here?
live ready now. Oh, sorry,
Yes.
sorry. Yeah, hello everyone. Hi.
Okay, so I think you heard a lot of stories from him. I think he's one of the very regular people who posts in LinkedIn. He posts very inspirational, content, and he has about 14,000 followers in LinkedIn. So let's hear as we go along. Let's hear a lot of stories he's going to share with us today. But before that, just watch this short video as we have more friends coming in, and then we'll interview Mr. Captain James Foong.
Oh,
Hello, everyone, again. Today we have Captain James Foong here with us. He's going to share a lot of his stories in the sea, how he actually, began his life, began his career in the sea. Okay, before that, let's just say hello, James. We have Erwin Joseph. Hi, Erwin Joseph, Arvin Johan, Muihan, Kale Selvan Ganesan. We have Jaindran. We have Ridwan. We have a lot of friends from LinkedIn and Facebook, and
wow, even
also,
Facebook also have
yeah, we have a
Cannot
lot of.
escape lah.
Okay, so hello everyone. Thanks for joining in. So Captain James Foong, okay, he has about 14,000 followers here at LinkedIn. He has been active since when, James Foong?
Uh, Especially during the MCO time 1.0 last year.
Okay, so you started then, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we have here Perthpal. I think you know Mr. Perthpal here.
Wow, biker already coming. Yes.
Biker
Hello.
already here. And then we have your friend, the Sailor Man, sings to the Popeye tune.
Hey, who is
Mal-
that? I mean the LinkedIn user. I cannot see right here.
yeah, because I think sometimes there's the privacy thing, So good to
Secret
have,
lah. Secret admirer.
yeah. I think that should be one, if I'm not mistaken. Is it one there?
Anonymous lah. This one.
Anonymous. Okay. It's okay. We'll find out as we go along. One, if it's you, just shout it out. If you sang the James Fong, the Sailor Man. Okay, Captain James, how did you actually get started uh, in the sea? Right, a lot of
You know,
when
um,
people go to work. I mean, people study and all that. That this is not a typical career choice. What made you actually start with a career in the sea?
Actually, it started off during, when many people will be surprised. I always very much into wearing uniform, since I was young. So I was a scout before. Even our guru besar knew our this that I wanted to wear uniform for a very long time. When I started, I think when I was Form 3. So went along the stages, and in fact, my father himself was involved with working in the airport. So we did have the privilege of taking aeroplanes time to time when you're young time with Malaysian Airlines, and I saw people wearing uniform in the plane. So I asked my dad, these people, they are not police, they are not immigration. Who are they? So my dad tried to tell me about pilots. So I very much wanted to become a pilot, uh, thinking how to become a pilot. So I think one of the very basic was to have a science stream background. So I tried very very hard to enroll into science stream because what most of the school they had science stream was the first class.
Yeah.
So for my school was the same case as well. So I remember I was the last class when I was Form 1. So I worked very hard until the end when I was Form 5. I was the first class in my high school when I came out. So I went for my interview, a lot of interview. I applied. It seems like the pilot didn't really reply me because maybe they are narrowing more from perhaps 10 to maybe 5 candidates per year per intake for the pilots during that time. So I was kind of unfortunate lah. So that time I also thinking, okay, besides ship, right? Besides the plane, what I can do. So coincidentally, my family, my grandfather was my late grandfather. He was working for a chief engineer on board ship as well. During the time, he was working for livestock vessel, which carry kambing, lembu, all these live animals to Sembelih, because there are countries they carry these animals, especially during the Muslim festival time, right? So my dad, my late grandfather was working there. So he told me a lot of stories, what he did on the ship, and he always tell us, try not to work on the ship. He actually very sad, the youngster work on the ship is very tough. He do not want us to do that. Then even my brother, also a ship captain, now he's working in office now. So basically, I'm the only one who active still sailing lah, because I actually do enjoy the life of working few months and rest few months. So that kind of cycle of life, for some people might not very favorable, but for people like me, I quite like it lah. Yeah.
Okay. So did you actually once you got to know about the story and all, you actually consciously went and chose to be in the shipping line?
Yes. In fact, I applied during that time was a Petronas scholarship under this their shipping arm MISC. So I was quite fortunate. Like I'm one of the few Chinese there. I think in fact they are actually interview 1,000 candidates during that year, and they only choose 100 of them. So 50 are the engineers, and 50s are for us we call as the officers. So among the 50s, I was one of the 2 Chinese. One was from Kelantan, and one is me. So I'm very fortunate that at the same time I can spend a lot of time with the non-Chinese friend. That is how I learn my culture, their multinational cultures, or even religions. Create awareness between people because we are most of the time very much in comfort zone, even during my high school, which means we only pick our friends in school.
Yeah.
We are grouping, but when it comes to this type of training, you have no choice. You have to mix with people that are from different background. So that was very early stage when I was 18, exposed to that kind of environment, and I never looked back during that time until now.
Right. Okay. So what was your journey? For a lot of young audience here also, they want to know what is it like to have a career in the shipping side. You start off, where do you start off, and how do you climb aboard? Like right now, you're a captain, right? What is the journey from the beginning until you actually become a captain?
Okay, they have a lot of ways to become a captain. So my way actually is quite a tricky part because I work for big ships. So big ships, most of the time they do not have a very strong way of promotion, fastest way compared with smaller ship. You mean example like aeroplane like for example, the Fokker plane and the 747 big
Yeah.
planes, So you cannot compare. They are two also captain, but the chances of promoted to control the 747, the chances is lesser compared to the Fokker, to the smaller plane. So that is how I tends to find ways to be promoted as soon as possible, because that is the time where people can see your credential. And I will start off with when I was studied in Malaysia. So since it was a sponsored program, so when I was 18, I was studied in this we call it Alam Academy Laut Malaysia in Malacca. Spent 3 years there. So just like any undergrad program, we need to go through internship. So I spent a year, 365 days. We split into two, 180 days, one ship. So I spent two ship there to have familiarization, and of course it's part of the requirement to in order to pass as a full-fledged officer lah. So I passed the full-fledged officer when I was 20. Yes, 20. So you don't have much experience because you are just fresh grad, just like anyone else. So it's very much fortunate that Petronas taking us back to serve on their ships immediately, because we are the sponsor cadets. So I always tell people, if you want to venture in this career, it's better not to have self-paid, because it's not to show that you are not afford, but the employability is not there, because this is a very niche career. So people will tend to take their own cadets. So in terms like even planes, they have Malaysian Airlines, they have their own cadets for
Yeah.
their own pilot. Singapore Airlines, they have. So they do not want people who finish study saying, oh, I have a flying license, Singapore Airlines, would you hire me to be your pilot? Very very thin chance they will do that unless you have connection lah. But that's why I said it's always good to have sponsorship. If not, I always receive a lot of messages from LinkedIn, even asking me, can I help them to find a ship for them? Even intern to work on the ship itself, they cannot have any opportunity because they are paying for themselves for this kind of career. And it's very sad lah. Nobody talk to them about this, how to involve with their career progression and all these things.
Right. So it's not that easy. Career in this shipping line is not as easy lah.
I still remember when I was first week in Alam, right? We actually get tortured, because most of the students are from RMC. So they are from the Royal Military College, right? So like us, Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan SMK, apalah, you go there, right? Sure suffer one. So I remember my dad put me there, and I remember all the parents have to go out from the main hall. So then they will confiscate all our IC. So we don't have IC. So we have to be there 1 week. If you can tahan, only they take you. So you see, 1,000 people applied, interview, then shortlisted to 150 engine, 50 officers. From there, 100, even you have to go training in order you can be part of the student in Alam. I mean, fully in Alam as a cadet. So we have to, shave our hair, running at 5 in the morning, including studies. Nighttime still need to study for tomorrow. So we have assembly almost every day, singing Negaraku and even the Alam song, So these are the things that we brought up, and I was 18. So that was the time where people still go to college, very glamour, right? Study very famous college, university, but that's how we got tortured. At times I also confused, even suspect my life. Suspicious about my career, like thinking, am I choosing the right path? Why I'm here, where people go to tackle girl lah, study there lah, overseas, but I'm still here. So that was the time lah. And I don't have like LinkedIn, can share like me now sharing, but in terms of returning back to the society by explaining how I went through. Yeah.
So what would you advise people who are just starting about like this career, who are interested in the career in shipping?
Interested in shipping. Actually, shipping is a very wide topic. So if you go Google, when you search shipping, right, actually you'll come out a lot of the words for like Amazon, for all the things that buying online, doing the shipping,
Yes,
because the word
yes,
shipping has been
yes.
um, misunderstood by modern society, thinking of
Right,
sending goods. Logistics side, they use the word shipping a lot.
right,
So that is a time where we are quite sensitive lah, because we are on the this line. So we often call maritime instead of shipping, because shipping like sending goods, right, like post
yes,
laju lah and all these things. So
correct.
if you talk about maritime industry, like what I'm doing now, there are many types of way to enroll. If you talk, there are two types. You are want to work on the shore base or on the ship. So if you talk about ship, there are certain criteria. Of course, for the officers, your eyes have to be perfect. Until now, touchwood, I still can see the last line for this ABC. Until now, I don't know why, but I occasionally go and check my eyes, because that's part of our requirement also for the job.
Okay,
So we go and check. I can see the last line lah. Then even after you enroll, you still can wear glasses. But I think before you enroll, same like aircraft pilots, you see pilots wearing glasses. But
right,
that is after being working as a pilot. You can wear glasses. But when you enroll, I don't think so. You can. But in engine side, you have to be very aware what you wanted to do in terms
right,
of do you want to be a chief engineer? What do you do after chief engineer? What is the credential you can have, and accreditation bodies and all these things. So that are the things that I found out quite early during my time when I was 18. In fact, when I was 18, I already asked myself, why I want to take this career? Should I do something else, or study in a college or what? So instead of thinking, hey, why and all these things, I plan my journey, how old I want to have my captain license, and what are the things I can do to become who I am today. Because I always have the interest to find hacks, hacks like how to have the shortest way to do a lot of things, even financial freedom, or
right, right,
even buying a car or buying a house. I always think, if even to the extent you want to pack up girl, right? You're also thinking, for me I would think, hey, how to let this girl will reply me? What should I write? So this girl will like me. During the time when we were younger lah, of course not now lah. Now we're married right? So I'm the kind of person. I always try to hack, because some people they always take it accept as a fate, right? It's like,
right,
yeah, it's like that lah. What I can do. I'm not the
right.
kind of I'll think. Even like now, your talk, right? I was always thinking, okay, what should I share? How to make it interesting? If not too technical, people are boring, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. So, friends, we'll just say hello to everyone here again. Uh, of course, we're going to hear some pirate stories and ghost stories as we go along. James has that in his arsenal. We have Ezwan, we have Jalila,
Wow, Dato Alia is here. Hello.
Munis, and then Dato Alia. We have Jayendran. Munis is from Sabah. Okay. And then we have Captain Muhammad Al Ghazali, right? His wish, good luck for you. Okay. And then we have Rudra, right? Rudra Shiva. Okay.
Yes.
So let's hear some of the stories. What is it like to be a captain, captaining your own ship?
I was captaining on a own ship with a very small ship.
Mm-hmm.
This size probably bigger a little bit than our Penang ferry, if you have taken that.
All
So
right.
that was actually been owned by a Malaysian company. So I was very fortunate that I have the opportunity to serve on board this kind of ship, because, like I said previously, when you work on a big ship, you cannot have the opportunity to control such a big ship. Even you have to wait for years, right? So I'm
Right.
thinking, how am I, can cut through this way and doing this. So the
Right.
thing is, I look for local companies and asking them, and yes, they actually are very helpful, and I'm very appreciate those who see my credential and have trust on me
Mm-hmm.
to taking charge of their ship. And the thing is, I have only a limited experience, whereby only on the transiting of Malacca Straits, okay, during that time. But most of the time, when I'm on the bigger ships with a more senior position, I
Right.
do have very much experience, because the ship is tramping very far. Because big ship, we go like planes, right? Domestic plane and international flights. So we've been to a lot of places, including Somalia waters, how we experience pirates approaching, and yeah, all these things.
And what was the experience running a small ship versus the big ship?
Okay, small ship. If you talk about small ship, actually you can see the nationality that are working on a smaller ship. They are quite friendly. We don't have much, a lot of, how to say, the titles, or even very not very formal compared with bigger ships, because
Right.
bigger ships you have a lot of hierarchies to follow compared with smaller ships. So the culture itself is different. So I would say that I hope people will experience both for those who are seafarers, and because most of the time either they are on small ship or they're on big ship. They don't like me, rojak lah, mix like that. So yeah, so the culture is a bit different, but of course, most important is you like your job lah, you have passion.
Why do you like your job?
The reason I like my job, there are few reasons. Very obvious one is financial, because you cannot find a job giving you in US dollar currency. And for in terms of Malaysian tax department, our salary is in tax free, because
Right.
of we spend 180 days away from Malaysia. So
Right.
we are considered as citizen but not resident now. So there's a special form we call Form M, to fill up.
Okay.
And of course, the company is not in Malaysia. In terms of if you work in overseas, so your earning is not local currency as well, not ringgit. So there are few criteria there for
Right.
making it a very advantage of working on a ship. And if you wanted to work in office, pivot your life, doing some other industry, I believe being a seafarer would be a very well credential job, where of course you have to have a proper education and all these things. And yeah, I don't think people will find it very much regret on joining this job, unless they are, if they cannot find happiness on this job, I'm very sure any other job also, you won't get complain or being complacent, right?
Okay. I think your old friend Hanson Lau is saying hello. Gosh, it's you, James. Been so long.
uh
Glad to
yes,
see
I
you.
know Hanson. Hi Hanson. Wow, Facebook, huh?
And this is my son saying yay. This is Sahil. He's joining in from YouTube. All right. So, of course, friends who are here, don't forget to ask your questions, because you might have some questions to ask him, and I might have not thought about it. Just throw it in the comments, and we will read out your questions. Right. So, James, why did you actually join LinkedIn? Okay, we don't see a lot of seafarers in LinkedIn, and now you have about 14,000 people in LinkedIn. What made you actually join LinkedIn?
Mm, the reason I joined LinkedIn was because of I wanted to change my job. Very obvious. I mean, like anyone else. So I started LinkedIn. I opened this account very long time ago. I think in 2016. So I didn't much touch on it. During that time, I was in New Zealand doing my training in captain, and I'm thinking, okay, since I'm doing this training, well, maybe I'm not sailing anymore. So I thought wanted to find some job. So I opened LinkedIn and just read and just follow occasionally what people is writing. And I think during last year, I tried to connect with a lot of people in UK. Part of the reason was because I'm doing an MBA now in shipping and logistics in Middlesex University of London. So when
Right,
I was doing that, I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'm gonna find some job in UK. I mean,
right,
since I'm doing an MBA in UK, right? So I try to connect with people, in UK. Most of the my connections are from there. So I think the Malaysian connection came in last year when I posted something about Malaysia flag. So I wrote something about Malaysia flag. So that is where after Merdeka, wow, a lot of my Malaysian connection coming in, because I think I have the impression not many Malaysians have LinkedIn. When I approach them, especially my close friend, I ask, hey, do you have LinkedIn? No. Okay, do you have LinkedIn? No. So I'm thinking, okay, I think I'm quite lazy lah to promote what is LinkedIn. So it don't have any monetary credits for me, right? So I just try to focus my intention, my purpose is to find a job in UK. So I just add them, of course, in maritime industry lah. So added them, and I also do not want to be directly promote who I am. So occasionally I'll write something about Malaysia to indirectly tell people, hey, hello, I'm from Malaysia. This kind of thing, because people always confuse where I came from. They say, oh, are you from Hong Kong or Singapore or maybe Indonesia? I say, why is that? Why nobody say I'm from Malaysia?
Right.
So instead of saying I'm from Malaysia, right, I sometimes post about Malaysia stuff, right? So now I have many Malaysian connections. So what I did, I post Penang lah. So let people know, hey, hello, I'm from Penang. Instead of shout out I'm from Penang, right, just post some education, interesting facts about Penang. So in return, that people know, oh, this guy is from Penang, and he's Malaysian. Yeah.
Right. And right now you're based in Penang, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we got a question from YouTuber Ramli. What can a seafarer expect in terms of salaries along the career path? I think the career path means there are two main career paths, right? One is in terms of like the being a captain, and I think the other one is in the engineering side, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, actually, they do have a three main department you want to choose for. If you are good in cooking, you can actually be a cook, also catering department on a ship.
Right.
And for the main one is engineers and deck officers. So the deck officers mainly they navigate the ship. So when the ship is in port, they will do the cargo operation.
Okay.
And for engineers are solely engines, because it's a very complicated things, and I have to take this opportunity to give credits to the engineers. Without the engineers, right, even you are expert captain or veteran captain, the ship cannot move without the engineers.
True.
Yeah.
So they are like what is the team size for an engineers? For a big ship.
Okay, for a big ship, we talk about 400 meters long. We have around 36, 35 people. Most of the time is number genap lah. I mean, how to say, even number, right? So because the lifeboats are, you want to consider the lifeboats,
Right.
whereby after Titanic case, right, a lot of people die so after Titanic sunk, so they have a lot of requirement came in. One of them was life jackets, life buoys, including lifeboats. So the lifeboats have to be the maximum capacity of the ship that can carry. That's why you see passenger ship so many lifeboat right at the side. So how many lifeboat they have, that's the capacity of the carrying capacity of a ship for one side, which means if the ship can carry 36 people, they need to have one side of lifeboat with 36 people, not two combined with 36. Means one side 36, if this one kaput already, we still have another side with 36.
Right,
yeah.
right.
So there is a lot of requirement there. This is one of the basic one.
Okay. So the big ship is about 400 meters long.
Yes, the biggest now, there are actually a lot of categories. So they have tankers, container, cruise. So as far as I'm concerned, I think the biggest is 400 meters. They might be longer, but not very longer than 400, perhaps 440, 420 or 390, they are on this kind of range at this point of time.
Right. 400 meters is really quite.
Yes, and we always have a joke that we need to carry two passport on the ship, because from one end to another end, you need another passport to go to the end, because it's very big. So most of the time, I have a purse myself to put all my pen, all the necessary, because when you walk, sometimes alamak, forget to take the pen, right? You have to patah balik very far, Then you go toilet all macam-macam, all these things. So we know what is the trick there So before we go out, we will check all our things, because malas come back, because it's very very big the ship. Yeah.
Yes. And what kind of cargo that you carry at this moment of time?
If you talk about container, right, we do carry things that usually planes cannot carry. Like example, like train, like the locomotive train, and including the rail. So I remember we do carry Disneyland theme parks, the roller coaster, the the what do you call that, the rail, right, for the roller coaster. So those are the things cannot be carried by plane, so be carried on the ship. So it's not necessary with the containers. They can be fixed in a container, but that is how we carry them. We try to slot them in. We even carry super yachts, ships, which
Yes.
means the shipping ship, right? So they always have this term, shipping ship, because the big ship like us, we carry a smaller ship and we ship it over. So we call shipping ship.
Right. Oh, I never knew that. I thought it always, if you buy a yacht, it just comes, it sails here.
Well, there are cases where people, the overseas, they bought somewhere and they have to, for example, like Hong Kong, right? Hong Kong, they don't have a very special place to build the yachts. So they bought it from, I don't know, America or Korea, they built, then they have to transport it to Hong Kong. Because this kind of super boat, they cannot go very far. They are just cruising around, Hong Kong Island. So you're calling them to cruise from Korea, crossing the sea to I mean Korea to Hong Kong, right? It's very dangerous, lah. So there are a lot of things to consider as well.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay, got another question here.
Mhm.
Since the MCO, is there impact with the shipping industry, or do they actually give
Alamak, this guy anonymous, who is that? Maybe CEO or somebody, test me, who is that? Well, yeah, impact, yes, but there are companies making profits during last year pandemic. I mean, one of the companies that I knew of, they are making 74 billion US dollars
right?
last year during the pandemic, and they had a few times of increment in salary.
Right.
Not in, and this year they also changed their pay scale. That's one of the company that I knew. So I would say that the industry itself is very much depending on the role. Because if you talk about office based, maybe they have retrenchment. I do not know. But if
Right.
talking about professionals like us, right, they need people like us for moving the floating giants. So
Right.
it's not cannot find any simple people or with a short training to move these objects.
Right.
So the demands is always there. So I always tell people, sometimes you read the news that there have been a lot of jobless retrenchment there. Of course, we have to look into the role itself as well, because if you're doing things that everyone else is doing, you have to be expecting retrenchment will be narrowing to your neck.
Right.
So I'm not to say I'm very good, but I could consider myself as lucky lah for this time.
Yeah. So the shipping's actually doing quite well, like in terms of actual transportation, cargo, and all that. I think there's a
And they try to recruit the younger one, because a lot of the older veteran captains no longer wanted to sail, because you need to have fitness tests, time to
right.
time you need to jump the swimming pool, you need to row the boat. I mean, not joking, it's true, you have to fight the fire. So cannot expect people 70 years old doing this, right? So yeah, so they're trying to recruit, like, and a lot of youngsters are not keen to join the maritime industry now because
Right.
of away from home, which is very obviously, and they cannot have social life and stick on the ship. So I've been MCO throughout my career life, so it doesn't really. I mean, my life on the ship has been locked down for many years. So I always share with people how to have this mental health been going on, how you control that, because you imagine people like us, right, has been on the ship for many years. Yeah. So there are even times that I don't go out. I just stay on the ship, because now the ship they stop. Don't stop long time. Maybe a few hours. So
Right.
it's no choice. I mean, no point of going out. You're like, okay, now the ship is in LA. Let's say Los Angeles. Then you want to go Hollywood studio. How to go Hollywood studio if the ship is sailing in how many hours time?
Yeah.
You want to count the journey and the fee you're paying, right? So not to say you cannot go lah, but I think it will be best when I go home, I go there as a holiday instead of as a seafarer for visiting. Because the ship anytime can sail, you have to rush back to the port. If traffic jam, you stuck in a jam, then you cannot back to the ship on time. The ship sail, then habis lah. It's a big problem also. Yeah.
True. What has been the most uh, LA? I suppose is what is the furthest distance you have sailed so far in the shipping side?
Further distance, I've sailed the longest, because
Mm.
we stop a lot of places, you see.
Yes.
So the ships is like bus lah. We stop, okay, for example, like KL, right? You always
Right.
stop from KLCC, then you don't know go where because I'm not familiar with KL, right? So you go stopping, hopping around the station nearby. So each
Right.
bus have their own numbers,
Right.
trading their own area. Same with ships as well. So it depending on which ship you go, so it trading is the area. So like me, right, before I join a ship, I have to know what's the ship name. So I'll track where's the ship go, then I'll get this information so I can know where I can go shopping, right? So I know, oh, the ship going America. Okay, so I can, have my luggage a bit empty, so space, so at least I can reserve things that I can buy, during my
Right.
booking time. So there are this kind of interesting facts. I mean, you can have the advantage of enjoying your career as well. Not to say, I've been away from my family. All this is kind of negative. Trying to find how to dance in the rain.
Mm. How a question came up on how do you actually manage your mental health in the ship, because I suppose the ship actually takes about a few months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes. What is the typical length of time when you're in a ship?
Okay. The longest I've sailed, just now I haven't finished yet, was from Hong Kong to Vancouver, Canada.
Okay.
So why is it so long? Usually because we cross Pacific Ocean, the
Right.
largest ocean of all the oceans. So when
Right.
we cross there, because in Vancouver, I think they have Christmas, I think Christmas season or what during that time. So they, people the masale, they holiday so not working, right? So they drag. So instead of we supposed to go there in 14 days, we drag and they have a slot. So instead of you skip this, you have to go after a week later. So I think we were on the water floating for 21 or 22 days,
Wow.
moving very slow because you move too fast. Our company will call you. They can see, can track you. GPS. Hey, why you go so fast? You go there, you also stop. So you control your speed. Okay, so you're moving very slow. So the ship, when you move slow, also very danger because when you move slow, right, the wave is coming, hit you. Then it's rolling. So they're
Right.
always saying that we need to keep the speed. Don't have speed, like bicycle, you don't have speed, you will fall, right? So you need to keep on cycling your bicycle in order to balance, right? Same with ship. So you need to move. The propeller need to run because when you run slow, right, wow, you can see your soup flying, your cup also. Try not to have that happen, lah. So
Right.
we try to. That is the problem with our job, to adjust the ETA not too fast, and we need to find the shortest route, save petrol, optimum speed, and all this kind of thing for cost saving for the company. Then at the end of the contract, they'll give you bonus maybe extra 1 month salary, this kind of thing.
Right. Right. Okay, so how do you actually manage the mental health when you stay on the sea for quite a long time? I think, so, like you said, this is just one part of the trip, right? The 21 days. But
Mhm.
typically, when you leave home, what is the normal time frame when you get back from a trip?
I usually make it 6 months. Used to make 4, then now make it 6, and now even longer because I try to join the ship before Chinese New Year,
Right.
and I'll be back in September because that's my wife's birthday lah.
Right.
So try to celebrate with her. I can skip mine, but since someone birthday I have to catch, so I think it would be nice to mark my wife's birthday. So I come back in September and join January. That's my cycle lah. But since now the COVID started, so all haywire lah, even the schedule, right? So it's okay. We are still employed, but a bit delay for joining. Supposed to join in January. Now I'm already coming March. I mean February, right? Then sooner or later, scratching your head here and there, then it will become March. So yeah, so that's the time. Most of the time that I'll spend on the ship. And for mental health, if you talk about how to perform on the ship, right, you can see we do not have off day, not like office. You have off day, right? You have
Right.
like, okay lah, work. How you off? You off the ship, you have to move. It's a moving object. So I always tell people we don't have off day.
Right.
We don't have MC. We don't have, hey, Captain, today I'm sick lah. I don't want to work. How?
Right.
How is that? We are on shift, so you're not working, right? If 3 people on the shift, you're not working, then 2 of us need to have extra shift, because you fall sick, right?
Yeah.
So if you fall sick for too long, people are thinking how to kick you off because you are considered liability for the ship. They're thinking, oh, yeah, why this guy coming to the ship not contributing for the efforts of the team, but liability only makan tidur saja and all these things.
Right.
You come for work. You don't come for holiday like, oh, I'm a bit fever, I cannot work. Not like that lah. So we have a very small medical locker, a hospital we call, as part of the requirement from the international to have a medical area lah. So we do have a license, certified medical care for handling very basic medical issues like sewing the wound, and giving some medicine. What type of medicine? We have books for captain to refer. We can have calling as well for international to support us, SOS, all these things. Yeah. So that is the very basic type of life cycle on the ship. And for my case, I try to talk with people on the ship. You don't, put yourself locked in your own cabin. That's big problem. Then you too much thinking. So I try to do more listening than talking on the ship because everyone wanted to talk.
Right.
And as a myself as an extremely extrovert person, right? I mean, obviously you can see, it's quite hard for me. It's a challenge to listen people talking instead of me. So I try to listen more on the ship because everyone wanted to tell about their family story, right? So okay, I'm just listening, and while I'm listening, I learn about being grateful for what I have because at times when we complain much, it will be the time where you stop listening. So you have to start listening. Then that's how you're being grateful. You say, oh, people have very things that are not as lucky as you. Not to say compare, but that is how you find your gratefulness in their conversation. Yeah.
Okay. So we have a question. I think this is a little bit more technical question. What about tides play a part for ship berthing to port? Okay. And is that one of the considering factors to reach a port on time? Okay. This is by Jim Bond.
This guy, wait, must be some kind of technical guy testing me, is it? No lah. Okay. You talk about tides. Yes, we do look at the tides very much. In fact, it depends on the port itself. So some ports the tides is very high and low. So of course, low tide is not so good lah because low tide the ship can grounded correct or not? So what we did is we try to berth the vessel during high tide. So they have a period of time because the tides are relation with the moon. So the moon gravity that actually affects the tides. So many people didn't know that, and we have a books on the ships for reference for the local tide because different ports, different tides. You talk about Singapore, Port Klang, you talk about Hong Kong. So different ports, different tides. Right. Of course, there are countries where you can just enter anytime. Would probably be Singapore, Hong Kong. This kind of very much frequent visits of ships. But there are even ports that you have to see tides. For example, like Shanghai. So Shanghai, why you have to see tides? Because we have pilots to bring the ship go inside. It's like, okay, it's example like I come to your house, okay? Right. For example, you stay in KL. So I'm coming from Penang, okay? I drive my whole bus to KL. I will stop in certain places, like maybe in KLCC petrol station. I'll wait for you there. Then you will come and board my bus and you'll sit beside me and tell me how to go to your house. You see? Right. So that is pilot. We also have pilots. So the pilots is their job, and they are usually local experts lah. So we bring our ship to Vancouver, right? We don't know Vancouver. We don't know how to berth the place in Vancouver. So what we did is we call as a pilot station, a mutual point where we has been agreed by legal. So we will stop our ship there. They will come with a small speedboat. They'll board on our ship. Usually one or two guys. Usually one is a training one. So they will tell us, okay, you come here, go there, turn left, turn right. We call it port as starboard lah. So how you turn your ship, how many, what time will be raining, what time will be sunrise, what time is high tide, low tide. So these are the guys who will give us feedback because our job is to bring the ship to the country. So for the parking lah, we call berthing is parking, right? So how we park, that is the pilot's profession.
Right. Okay, so now I think we're going to finish the show very soon, okay, in about 15 to 20 minutes time. So now the interesting questions are already coming. Okay.
Ayo, Dato, malu lah.
things. Okay, so now let's just quickly go. We have answers for this. What is the roughest sea that a seaman is usually worried about? Okay, what's your experience? This is an interesting question.
Okay. Try to cut short because I see comments people say I'm extrovert already. So Raffles Sea. Okay, you see our ships we have as high as 13 to 14 story high. So even that high, our window also can have the splash of waters from the wave. So that
Wow.
is how high the wave you can expect it. Of course, not the whole wave smack on your hit on your ship, but you can imagine that's the impact you have by standing outside for 14th floor, right? You still can have the water flowing on your head. So yeah, that is the very roughest sea, and most of the time we try to avoid because it will make everyone dizzy,
Right.
which includes the cook. So once the cook dizzy, right, we have no good food. So we try not to have rough sea. If rough sea will make announcement, hey, excuse me, attention to all, we have rough sea at what time coming. So please secure your laptops, your everything, blah blah blah. If not, later they will complain the bridge. The bridge we call as like a cockpit on the ship, on the plane, right? So we call it as a bridge. So there's a place where you control everything. So if they want to complain, they'll call us, right? Then I say, hey, why you never, let us know, because the laptop flying all the cups flying their rooms. Some of them they have, all this sembayang barang all later fly all the statue all flying, right? So I have to inform in advance that we are going to face rough weather, and this we can forecast the weather in 7 days. The what will be precise is 3 days. So yeah, it's no excuse for escaping bad weather.
What are some of the areas, like in terms of geography, right, that are frequently saddled with bad weather?
You have to see the month itself, because in America they call it hurricane. So
Right.
in Asia they call it typhoon. So
Right.
these are quite similar characteristic, which means they are moving objects.
Right.
So they have a level of them. I mean level 1, level 2, level 3, right? So this depending on their studies, how strong is this typhoon. So if you talk about Asia itself, most of the time it's running how to say, it's a clockwise position, okay,
Right.
clockwise direction for the typhoon, for the
Right.
northern hemisphere. If you talk about the earth itself, we cut into half. So
Right.
the typhoon will move clockwise direction, which means usually it will start from Philippines
Right.
right up to Hong Kong.
Right.
So we are very lucky Malaysia, we are at the center part So the equator part, right, we don't have much of this kind of thing We only have, like, what do you call this, raining season, monsoon Ayo, people already start complaining, right? But in Taiwan, in Philippines, it's really hits very bad until the ceiling all flying off and all those things. So this, they were passing through land, then cross the South China Sea up to Hong Kong, or perhaps they'll end up in China So that's the typical route if you talk about Asia context.
Right. So how's your experience been? Were you involved in any of these storms? These huge storms.
Of course, if we having this storm, right, we have to see our schedule. Means what time we have to reach the ETA. So if they say, okay, you don't have to be so fast, of course, obviously we have to bring down the speed, right? Because ship don't have brakes. So we cannot say, hey, here we brake for what cannot. So we try to navigate the ship, make everyone happy, moving somewhere, hiding behind the island, and we try our best. And but if they say we have to rush for the ETA, the estimated time arrival, we of course will go full speed. If we
Right.
can, we'll calculate that if we can overtake the typhoon, will be better which means the typhoon is behind us instead of
Right.
in front of us. So there are many practice that better for the typhoon to be in front, because if the typhoon is behind, right, just in case your engine kaput, finish then your whole ship will be together with the typhoon rolling in the sea. So we
Right.
wouldn't want to take that risk because everyone come for cari makan, right? So we
Right.
try to come in one piece and go back in one piece and I always tell many people on the ship.
Okay. So before we go into the pirate story, right, towards the end, and Bermuda Triangle also, which my
What
brother
makes
said
it
happened.
okay?
Okay.
Alamak, banyak ni.
But let's just answer this question by Hanson Law.
Mhm.
Uh, offshore heroes of always baffles me. Out of curiosity, in general, what makes a seafarer proud? Okay, what motivates the crew? What's the definition of friends, family, and love to a seafarer? Interesting.
Interesting. This guy must be testing my language, you know.
Relax,
Okay,
you just
Hanson. Hanson actually was we are in the same school. In he came in my school during Form 6. Then that was the time I left Form 6 as well. I was a short period of time in the school for Form 6. That's how I got to know him.
all right.
And okay, back to his question. Let me see. Alamak, how to go back? Tengok ni. A bit
Just hold on.
kalut lah ni. Sorry. Okay, so uh, seafarers proud. Actually, not many seafarers are proud lah. They are quite pathetic, you know. They are quite Christian, you know. But they are part of them feeling proud lah. Not to say me. I'm trying to brand myself because cari makan lah. I need to let people know what I'm doing, right? So I'm not selling char kway teow. But I tell you, if I sell char kway teow, right, I can be the best branding for my own char kway teow on LinkedIn. But
Ah,
too
man.
bad I'm not selling char kway teow, right? So I always find how to be proud of what I am or not what I'm doing,
Yeah.
because I always tell people the fancy titles and the salaries always keep on the ship. What
Right.
remains on board, keep it on board. What's on the ship, keep it on the ship. So I don't bring it then down. So people will say I'm good at, not based on who I am on the job itself, but as a person. I believe that's the highest point of humanity lah.
Right.
And okay, talk about motivate the crew. You need to
What?
talk, you need to communicate,
Yeah.
and try to give them some parties lah, barbecue parties, get along parties. Not always people always finding fault with people. If they have something wrong, we help each other, defend the third party. If any people challenge us on authorities like immigrations or even our jobs, try to stand on the crew side, because as a leader, you don't scold your your staff.
Right.
Instead, you help your staff to face the problem. That is where people will see leadership in you. So people always say, "Wow, I worried, like Captain, I worried I'm got jobless." So, or if anybody did wrong, they'll push the ball away, to blame that person, that crew, and all. So I don't think that's necessary, because now we are in a very virtual world, very
Right.
transparent. If you can talk, I think that's the best lah. So that's why I say if I'm selling char kway teow, right, I can brand my char kway teow very well. But now since I'm on a ship, seafarer, so I try to brand my what I'm doing now. I mean, I'm good at. And back to one more third question. Friends and family love to a seafarer. This one. Okay. Actually, it's very, very related to what is going to happen now. I mean, Chinese New Year festival. For me, I'm a person not very much into festival, because that I told my late grandmother before. Because my late grandmother asked me, "Hey James, why you never come back for Chinese New Year?" So I always told her that every day I spend time with you is Chinese New Year. I don't have to be Chinese New Year to come to see you, right?
Right. Right.
Because there are certain professionals out there. They work during this festival to make the world moving. Because the
Right.
world trades, 95% of the world trades are moving from the ship. So
Yeah.
everyone wanted to be Chinese New Year. Then who lah want to operate in the airport, in a plane? You see? So these are the things people don't see. They say, "Oh, everyone will come back. Okay, you want to come back? Okay, fine." But for me, I very much spend quality time with who I love, regardless of festival. I don't have to be special, anniversary or birthday. I make very glamour. Then after that, no more, no more. No, I'm not that kind. So I told my grandmother that even Chinese festival, I come back, but you have so many grandchildren. How you have time to talk to me?
Right.
See, so I would rather spend 1% with her, even doing gardening, farming in her house, just two
Right.
of us. And I'm an extrovert person. I can talk with her regardless of age. I can have something to talk to her, and she also very extremely extrovert. So we have very much talking. So she always put a special place in my heart when I'm thinking of this kind of love, family, and relationship in terms of spending quality time at any point of your life.
Okay. Good one. Good one, James. So another question is, are women allowed on board?
Who asked this one?
I mean,
Because where somebody asking, I must see what is their people, because if this guy is doing char kway teow, I need to talk char kway teow level. If this people is CEO, right, I need to talk CEO level. Because it's some kind of like, how to say, the content lah, Okay, so I'll go ahead with this. You talk about female. Yes, they do. If you go to YouTube, you will see called Captain Cat. She is the first female captain. Very
right.
beautiful Caucasian lady. Has been command on a passenger ship. She's the first American. I think it's American lady, Captain Cat, Kate. You can search her on YouTube. And there are a few of them coming up as well. You can see them, most of them in the passenger line, because that is where more comfortable environment working, instead of like people like us, we work on the cargo ships.
Right.
Not very glamour compared, because ships also have criteria like hotels, right? 5-star, 3-star, no star also. So we are kind of like a no star or 1-star type of hotel lah. So you cannot compare the manager in 5-star hotel and the 1-star hotel manager, right? Both also manager. So there are a lot of difference there lah. But I try to balance up, both world to make, so to brand and telling people the message passing across.
Right. So, like typically in cargo ships, are there women on board?
Yes, they do, but very small number of them.
Right.
It depends on nationality as well. I think in India they have one. One of the connection is the first female pilot in India. So, like I told you before, the job of the pilot is to bring the ship from mutual point, which is near to India, one of the
Right.
port like Mumbai. So they'll bring that ship, particular foreign ship, to inside the port of Mumbai. So one of the, I don't know if she's watching this or not, but yeah, she's one of them. Headline, she brand herself as the first female pilots. I do have first female, I don't know, captains in South Africa as well. They do have page in LinkedIn. They call it a women's offshore, whereby they support female in seafaring industry. I'm quite active with there lah, commenting, kacau a bit. But yeah, just to brand myself there lah, let people know, hey, I'm here, on LinkedIn. Don't forget me. Yeah.
Okay, so here we have like some of the most interesting questions that I think that everyone has been asking. Is it by Sangeeta?
Pirates.
Have you come across pirates? Okay, and then one more question by okay, let me just see. This is, how do you survive when pirates attack, like in Somalia?
Okay, if you talk about Somalia, there is a standard passage for passing the Somalia waters, which means, okay, example like you're from Penang to KL, right? So there are certain part of the highway have robbery. Okay,
Right.
so let's say near to Ipoh and Taiping, that part. So people, that part of area you have to cross in order to reach KL, for example. So many of the ships we in Indian Ocean, that is obviously in Indian Ocean, because Somalia, it's in what is that called? In part of Africa. Okay.
Right.
So when we go to example from Asia to Europe, passing the Suez Canal, we have to pass Somalia area, no choice, because that's the shape of the world, the earth.
Right.
So the thing is, the international organization for maritime, they call the IMO, International Maritime Organization. They have organized calling Navy from any part of the world to volunteer to be, occasionally escort these ships passing this area, which means, okay, when you want to go KL, but the robbery is there in certain of part of the highway. So the police will stand at one of the station under the tree, calling, gather all the cars. So I think they have 10 ships passing one time, or 12, like, depending on the size. If all 10 lorries, also hard to control, right? So they have motorcycle, car, this kind of thing. So in that particular area that we call as I can't remember what is the name of that passage. There's a name of it. So all the navy will be there. Sometimes French Navy, you can see, and sometimes they do have Malaysian Navy as well. So time to time, the Japanese Navy also there. So that's how they escort us the commercial merchant navy to cross this place. So if a lot of big ships, so example like highway, a lot of lorries, right? So you can have 10 lorries. So too big, they hard to control. So what they do
Yeah.
is they have a certain type of ships. They try ask you what time to be there. So they
Right.
grouping up with a limited quantity of ships passing that area, and that is a very general escort, which means only outside escorting for 10 or 5 ships. So company like certain companies, they do pay a amount of fee to
Right.
have bodyguards on the ship.
On the
Like for
ship.
instance, on the ship, on board the ship
Right.
for that period of time. So okay, like your I'm from Penang coming to going to KL. So instead of reaching Ipoh, maybe I reach Bukit Merah first.
Right.
So in Bukit Merah, I'll pick up the bodyguard sitting in my car. Okay,
Right.
so I'll go Taiping, then Taiping the police, because police is escorting only
Yeah.
outside, because the robbery come, the pirates come, right? You immediately board your ship, then this problem, So we
Right.
need to have someone with guns inside
Right.
the ship as well, with
Right.
on paid, but the volunteer will be the escorting outside. You see, so there's the like a shepherd, escorting the lamb like that.
Right. Right.
So we usually carry these bodyguards in Sri Lanka. If you are not very well with the geographic of the world, Sri Lanka actually is after Malacca Straits. So once we out from Malacca Straits, we will park our ships in Sri Lanka. I can't remember what's the place of the name. So that point is southern part of Sri Lanka. We don't have to berth the ship, don't have to park, we just float it there. So the Navy, the bodyguards will come. Usually these bodyguards are ex-Navy. So they are very well trained. Even you can see from their body shape itself. So they carry guns. They have license for these guns. And usually they board with 4 to 5 people. Extreme guard with all the uh, guns. I think they have this machine gun, snipers, shotgun,
Wow.
So they even have a firing shot. So you show us how they demonstrate the guns, right? With extra bullets there. So showing us, because sometimes you don't always hear the sound of the real gun.
Right.
So that was the time you can experience this. So talk about experience, like Dr. Sangeeta was asking, is it Dr. Sangeeta? Don't different petik ni.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dr.
Yes.
Sangeeta. I was on the ship during the time we crossed the Somalia, and we had actually approached by pirate boats, because pirates actually there are some SOP for us to follow. So what we did is when we reached that escorting route, right, that area, the armed guards will taking control of the ship. Of course, the captain is the overall in command,
Right.
but the armed guards will be advising the captain what's the next step, what's the next step. The captain, okay, will listen. Then we'll have some shift lah. The bodyguards will start walking on the ships. We have crew patrolling with torchlight as well, roaming, because the ship is a big ship. So we have this, and it's 24 hours. So you cannot say, hey, okay, office hours, 5 o'clock, all finish. No. So we have the night shift, no morning. So that's how we keep our life on the ships. That's like a small family community. And you very hardly see people have all in one gathering, because you cannot have all people, then who's going to drive the ship, right? So
Right.
time to time when we have barbecue, certain people, of course, on duty, they have to be certain place of the ship. So hardly we can see everyone face in one party. If the captain can see all the officers in one party, big problem. The ship nobody is driving. So yeah, so we often have that. Then talk about the experience. We have small boat approaching. So
Right.
there's a range. We call it uh, I can't remember what's the term they use. I think they call it the dead range, which means they will give a firing shot to the
Right.
small boat. So
Yeah.
if the small boat intent of selling fishes, because there are some local fishing boats, they are selling fishes.
Right.
So selling fishes like maybe some fishermen selling fish, but sometimes they have guns, which means they come near to your ship asking, hey, do you want to buy fish or not? Then if you talk to them, then they're pointing you with the guns, then finish lah. you
Right.
know so that's like a robbery as well on land, right? So they come to your house, hey, talking with you, come inside your house, hey, give me all your stuff. So we tend to have a firing shot, whereby the area itself, we already have shift with the armed guards. So these armed guards, they will see, even at nights, we have a night view binocular, the green one. can
Yes.
see, you watch the Rambo, right? The green
Yes.
one, then moving object with the white one. So we
Right.
have that as well during the night time. So you see how diligent our job is at all times. So you can say, hey, Sunday lah, why no off day? Cannot. So ngam Sunday, you're gonna pass the area, right? So that's the thing lah for our job. So we give firing shot, even the boats still approaching. We
Right.
even have this, we call I don't know what is the name again, because long time no pass there. I'm talking about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. We have this sound, I think they call it like a equipment to shine on a boat. So it will operate a very sharp tune to let the pirates uneasy. Instead of attacking them, so you shine on them. Instead of shine the lights, you shine the sound. So it's like very high echo sound. So they feel very uneasy. Even us also feeling very uneasy. You have to wear very high-end earphone. Wearing that and operate, of course, not me operate lah. This one, somebody appointed will be operate this thing. So you stand there and pointed at the boat, right? So if the boat's still coming and we have to shoot the boat, regardless if selling fish or pirates or whoever, because once you pass that line, we don't give mercy at all. Because I read news, they sue the armed guards, they firing the fishermen when their fishermen came to Indian Ocean, the coast of India. They have cases lah because they very innocent. Come and sell fish, right? Then you just shoot. Actually, it shouldn't be. You have to have a warning shot. You can shoot, but not directly to the pirates. Shoot in the water. But if they're still approaching, then certain distance, then you have to let it die lah. No choice. Even they're floating, you have to let it drown. So that is the privilege they have for the body armed guards in terms of hijacking pirates.
Wow, very very interesting. I
Yeah.
never knew about this. So
Yes.
at a time where they ignore the gunshots and they're coming nearby, and anything goes at the time. There's no mercy.
Yes. No mercy. In fact, you have that privilege. Of course, not us lah, but the one who have the license, the armed guard, they have the SOP, very strict SOP. So we drop them off in Red Sea. If you know Red Sea after Somalia, so you have to pass Yemen and Somalia. There's a very tiny canal there. I can't remember what is the name of the channel. Once you pass the channel, it's Red Sea, which means you reach Arabian waters there with Egypt and all, right. So that is the time you drop off these armed guards. So proceeding your journey. So like Ipoh, right? You drop them already, then you move on, right? So there was one time we dropped them off, and our engine got blackout. That area after dropping them, right? We got blackout. So we are quite worried lah, because when you black out, like your car lah, if your car is not moving, so robbery is coming, right? So wow. So that is, we try to let the engineers, call all the engineers out, station the engine room, try to get back the power to make the ship moving. Even slow also tapa, you have to run. You cannot float it there. Then people, getting the attention of the pirates, then they will come to you. And no more armed guards, they just left. So yeah, that is the one of the experience we had lah.
Okay. All right. So that's a story about pirates. Now, some of the questions people are asking is like, have you sailed through Bermuda? And if you haven't, what what are the stories you have heard as a shipping man of Bermuda?
Bermuda is the place where the ship goes and no return missing somewhere. I even read the YouTube they don't know, can go somewhere another dimension of the planet, don't know go where lah. But I'm not quite sure. They even say reappeared, from the Bermuda, some old ship lah, they appeared floating occasionally, sometimes come out, sometimes going back again. So kind of like myth lah, but I'm not quite sure because they are not very scientific research on this. And of course, our profession, we don't talk this. It's quite pantang, because when you go on a ship, you don't talk, hey, this ship can sing or not, all this, right? When you board an aeroplane, you won't think of this plane can drop, right? I mean, we have that training, but we don't talk about that very much, especially we are on a ship. There are a few very pantang larang thing. We don't really mind discuss when we are on the ship. Of course, not on land, okay, but on the ship,
What are the things you can't talk about?
For Chinese, because I've sailed with Chinese crew, they cannot eat fish, cannot flip the fish, Means you eat the fish, right? Flip the fish. You flip the fish, means the ship also flip, So I didn't know because I eat the fish, so I finish one side, you flip the fish normal, right? wow, cannot, because when you flip, people will bamboo, So okay, now I know lah, because kena bamboo already, correct or not? So there are a few things lah. Usually I won't do. I will observe. Now my style is observe. Buat bodoh tak apa. Janji jangan buat pandai. Buat bodoh okay. So I buat bodoh lah. I always like to buat bodoh one. See, okay. If it's something not new to me, I give them face lah. You can let them chance to talk, right? If something new, I learn lah. That's the thing. You don't offend people. Say, I know. Not like that. Or of course, you don't be too stupid also. So that's how I survive lah. I mean, on the ship where multinational, multicultural, and most of the time I'm alone. I'm the only Malaysian. So I wrote on LinkedIn. There's one post I wrote that people ask me, you are Malaysian? Are you a Muslim? So most of the time they have kind of impression. Singaporean, they won't ask, are you a Muslim? They will ask like, I'm a Malaysian. Are you a Muslim? So I cannot blame them lah, because not many people as diversified as us, right? Yes. So I try, I don't get angry, but in future, whatever I do, I try to let people know that, this guy, whatever he did, is the Malaysia image. Because I'm maybe in their whole life, I'm the only Malaysian they knew, and they will carry this story until the end of their life. They say, hey, I know one guy in Malaysia on the ship. Wow, that guy like to talk a lot, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I think Malaysian people like to talk. Or they have the impression Malaysian have knew a lot of multi-language, right? Multilingual skill and all these things. So that is the impression I wanted to show to people who are not Malaysia in my workplace.
Okay. So friends, we are coming to the end of the show. If you have any last questions for Captain James, you can feel free to just throw it into the comments. And if we before we finish, Captain James, what anything that you want to share with everybody here on your experience?
Okay, since you talk about an experience, right? I do not have. To make everyone happy, since I better not talk about my maritime experience, because it might sound like too technical to most of them. So I would like to share my experience on LinkedIn. So what I want to talk about this 19 February. Okay, so I'm doing a talk show behalf of Yayasan Waihao. Is talking about how do I get so many followers even without being a certified professional. You see, there are a lot of coach, all this blah blah. Sometimes I also thinking myself, how do I, I'm a person who, like I mentioned before, like to hack things, right? So I always finding ways, how can I have that without being that, you see? So I ask myself, how do I influence people without being an influencer or inspirational icon? So what are the things can be done here? So I will talk about that on 19th of February, and it will be a fully charity event. It's a pay-per-view event. Minimum is 10 ringgit Malaysia and $5. And I really hope I can see you there, because that will be a maximum 300 participants, where we can share the context of LinkedIn as well, whoever is in the participants, which means by the end of the session, you will have, of course, excluding me, you have 299 LinkedIn connection, if that is what you want. But I will share as well, talking about what is the difference between connections and followers, and how do I do that. It will be a screen sharing, real time of doing it. I'm not expert, but I think many experts will hate me lah, because I have seen people giving paid courses for this, and I'm giving out for free. I mean, not for free, for 10 ringgit. So people will be making people who are taking this as cari makan, right? Maybe it's not that good lah. I also never thought of that, because my intention is to be myself, wanted to do a good cause that can be support foundation like Yayasan. For their mission, it's an advocate for mental health and well-being. So you can visit their page as well. The founder is Dato Alia and Dr. Sangeeta. So they are very, very friendly. I'm very sure they'll be in the talk as well. So I hope people will join in and learn. Maybe not as much as followers like me, but at least you learn half of them also, okay, right? So I hope you won't been boring by what I'm talking today, by sharing about the seafaring thing here. And I really hope can see you more in future, and being invited for other live as well, I hope, after this. So yeah, so that's all from me. Thank you.
Right. So for those who are looking out for this talk by Captain James on how he built up his followers, it's on the 19th of February. James, you can actually share the link later on, right?
Okay, no
Or whenever the
problem.
link is ready, you can share in the feed here in the both the Facebook and LinkedIn. If people want to come, they can always get the links from there. All right. So with that, we're coming to the end of the show now. Bye bye, everybody. Thanks for watching the show. Again, Captain James, thank you very much.
You're
Again,
welcome.
you can uh, again, if you want to watch any of the previous inspirational people, you can always watch it in the YouTube channel. Okay, there are a lot of very interesting people, very interesting speakers who brought their own deep experience, just like Captain James. It's I felt really good getting to know about them. Check out the YouTube, right? So thank you again for watching, and bye bye. We'll see you soon.
Bye.